Alright everybody, welcome all back to Dead Space, going into Chapter 9 here, where we get to explore the USM Valor, which is, it's a pretty neat chapter, because, you know...
Isaac, we have a problem. The Valor's carrying a 12-megaton warhead. The crash hit the torpedo bay hard. I need you to handle that nuke right away, before something sets it off.
Handle 12 megatons? You know I'm not a nuclear engineer, right?
I don't need you to be. Just stabilize the warhead, and eject it away from the Ishimura.
Christ, Hammond.
No one trained you to carve up monsters with a plasma cutter either. You haven't let us down yet.
Well, that's mostly out of personal necessity, Hammond. Not that I'm necessarily trying to do a good job, but here's our first encounter with none other than the Tweakers. And, this is where the prototype stasis module pretty much becomes an imperative. Because the best way to deal with these guys is to hit them with stasis, at which point you can switch to, preferably the pulse rifle, but you can really use any weapon if you're accurate enough.
Had stasis units on their armor. When they were turned, those units merged right into their bodies. Changed them. They're fucking fast, Isaac. Stay sharp.
That battery ends up bugging out on us anyway, so we're just going to get rid of it now. Go ahead and pause and read this if you would like. If not, we're just going to keep things moving. But as I was saying, with the Tweakers, you get sort of this this double stasis effect because they have a giant like blue badge on their armor, and if you target that, they'll freeze again. So you can kind of hit them with like two stasises, if you will. So for this room, in order to avoid a fight with a bunch of enemies, we are just going to stand next to the door and yeet that battery out, and then out we go. Because removing that battery causes a bunch of enemies to spawn in there.
Mr. Clark? Hello? I must speak with you.
Who is this?
Dr. Terrence Kine, the Ishimura's chief science officer. I studied the marker for the church.
I'm done talking to unitologists.
But the planet won't rest until the marker is returned. You can't leave.
Watch me.
Goddamn right, Isaac. Alright. So, I keep getting interrupted by dialogue, but as you go into this room, you can't really use your guns in here so good, because you're fighting sploders, and if anything bad happens, this entire room blows the fuck up, and you die pretty much in one hit, because, you know, the nuke is in here, and nukes explode, so you have to deal with these sploders carefully. Luckily, the game gives you 2 rods to kill 2 enemies, and it's really that simple. Use those rods, avoid blowing up the sacks, and then we can actually complete this little, can't really call this a puzzle, but this little thing that we gotta do here. Disarm and dislodge the nuke. Alright, and with all that done, we can go ahead and do just that. See you later, nuke. I wonder what they were going to use that nuke for.
Okay, the warhead's clear.
Hammond, this doesn't add up. If the Valor was just on patrol, why bring a nuke? And if they had a target, what's out here except us?
Yeah, I know. I'm downloading a munitions report right now. I'll clear your route to the engine room. Grab that Singularity Core and let's get out of here.
Alright, so coming into this room, we've got another divider, but because we never need to go back into the torpedo bay ever again, we are going to lure him in here and seal him in this room nice and tight. See you later, my friend. Yep, you never really have to fight dividers, and it's not really worth it to try because they're a pain in the ass, so whenever you can get away with doing something like that, I would say do it. So in this room, a big fight with a couple of Tweakers goes down. So what I like to do is set up both of those canisters right there for extra explosive punch. And then 2 Tweakers will show up. One of them comes from the vent. I don't know where the fuck the second one comes from, but they both show up from pretty much the exact same spot. So if you set up a little trap right there, you can actually use a pulse rifle grenade that'd kill both of them at once, which is pretty sweet. Alright, so this room is actually completely optional, but if you want to open up those reward lockers, you gotta play this little mini game here.
Shooting range online. Caution. Live fire exercise.
So, you don't actually have to do anything here. Like, these targets are actually completely irrelevant. Like, if you want to have fun and actually try to score points, then I would say go for it. I mean, you only get to do this once. It's not like you get to turn this thing back on when you're done. But, you actually don't need to do anything with those targets at all. You just have to wait for this quarantine event. And now we have to fight real enemies. How fun. Alright. Yeah, so an enhanced necromorph, a tweaker, and a lurker, and I think an armored necromorph show up. Am I missing anyone? Probably. Yeah, as you can see, tweakers are, they're really no slouch. I mean, not only are they criminally fast, but they have quite a bit of health. Best strategy for tweakers, though, I would say, is to kind of just treat them like normal slashers. Just dismember their limbs and do it as quickly as you goddamn can, because they're fast. Don't want them on the field for very long. Alright, so, with all the enemies dead, we have access to the reward lockers. Money, ammo, health, a power node, and a ruby semiconductor. But yeah, if you don't want any of that stuff, you can actually skip this room completely, if you don't want to deal with any of that. But yeah, that room is optional. Armory is just there to be there for fun. There was something kind of like that in Dead Space Original. Also, this poor guy is missing a leg. His leg is huge. So coming in here, if you manipulate stasis a certain way, you can get that guy to kill himself on the laser. Which wow, that was kind of sweet. It like decapitated him perfectly. But yeah, sometimes that'll work, sometimes it won't. It kind of depends on how good you are with stasis. It's a little bit tricky as well with the prototype stasis, because prototype stasis has that like area of effect. Alright, I just screwed myself over. Way to go, past Cody. I think I screwed myself over twice. I think I did, actually. Let's see what happens here. Yeah, I screwed myself. Beautiful. Alright, it's all good. Stasis recharge right there. There we go. That's how you do it. Also, you can sort of... Sometimes this guy will randomly run into the laser and kill himself. But I wasn't that lucky this time. I actually had to fight him. Oh, okay, never mind. Never mind. Yeah, I don't know why he does that. He does it almost every time. If you just kind of dance around with that tweaker for a little bit, he just kind of lasers himself. Sorry, Isaac. My home planet needs me.
Hearing this? It's Chen. There, on the rig link. Did I lock him in alive?
Chen's dead. You know that.
I know my own fucking corporal. Chen, come in.
Oh, Hammond. I really wish that I cared about your relationship with Chen, but because Chen dies like 2 minutes into the game and we don't know anything about him, I just don't care. Alright. So, going this way. This is an optional room too, if you couldn't tell, but it's kind of a random little gear room. There's nothing too crazy in here, though. No power node. I think in the original Dead Space, this might have actually been a power node door. Because if you remember, Dead Space Original had those doors that you could unlock with a power node. I'm kind of glad that they got rid of that in the remake. Just because now you can spend your power nodes more freely on upgrades, but I don't know. In Dead Space Original, the power node doors were kind of lit. Like, there was always really, really good stuff in those rooms. So, there's a pretty big battle in this room. We have got an all-American Patriot fight on our hands against some terrorist necromorphs. So I'm just kind of getting this somewhere where I can use it, I guess.
Unknown biohazard detected. Lockdown initiated.
So a pregnant shows up. That's the first enemy. And then eventually, I think 2 tweakers show up. But in the meantime, we gotta fight some sploders and some slashers and Prego. And some lurkers. Yeah, oh hey there, speak of the devil. Lurkers definitely show up. So if you are so inclined, because there are 2 stasis recharge stations in this room, you can really abuse stasis. And if you want to try to have some real fun, you can try to use stasis to kill enemies on the electric floor tiles. More on that in a minute. Alright, here come the tweakers! They definitely come at you in more of like a wave format in the Dead Space remake. Whereas in Dead Space original, they would just kind of throw in enemies all willy-nilly, and if you hadn't killed enough yet, you would just get swarmed. That can still happen in this game too, but I feel like the original Dead Space was a lot more, like, mean with how it spawned enemies. Alright, so if you feel those big thuds, we have a brute fight. Now, what if I told you you don't have to use any ammo to kill this brute? Just the power of stasis. I know what you're saying, don't threaten me with a good time like that, but I'll show you. You lure this brute over here onto this electric tile. We can just continually stasis him over and over and over until the electricity kills him. And the best way to do this is to circle around him each time, because that forces him to turn around. And he has a really slow turning around animation, as you can see, so he pretty much just gets stuck on this thing until the electricity kills him. Just like that. Boom. Alright, that's how you kill the brute.
The Valor's munition log. It wasn't just a nuke. They came loaded for war. Seek and destroy. This was no patrol. They knew about the Ishimura. Someone knew. We were all dead from the moment we arrived.
Yes, Brother Hammond, yes. Alright, so now we have to play a really, really dangerous game of red light, green light with some fire. So, this'll be great. This part's actually, like, not super difficult in the slightest, but if you fuck up and burn yourself, it's not good, because it doesn't insta-kill you, but it might as well, because it drains your health, especially on hard. So we'll wait for that thing to, we'll wait for the engine to stop firing, and we'll make our way across. Grab all this loot in this little cranny over here. And now the real fun begins. So there's a couple of ways you can do this, but I like to just shimmy through nice and slow and use this crate as sort of a shield. And that's kind of the easiest way that I've figured out how to do it. It's a precarious little thing. Alright, so make sure that you leave that fire unclogged so that it's still burning its way over that vent. So what we do is, before we turn off the fire suppression system, we reroute the power to that other thing. And then we wait, and then these 2 leapers get burnt to a crisp. And we don't have to fight them, because they're stupid. So now that the leapers are dead, we can turn the fire system off. Or on, I should say, the fire suppression system. Turn that baby on, and now we don't have to deal with the fire anymore. Alright, cool. Now, coming through here, this guy shows up. So, what I like to do is kind of kite him across this way. And then by the time he comes across the bridge, he burns his dumb ass on the ship's engine. What a Chad. Alright. So now we can get all that stuff. And we can leave this terrible, terrible, terrible room of fire and flames. Through the fire and the flames, we carry on.
Unknown biohazard detected.
And now we get to meet up with Hammond. Or not.
Another malfunction at the
The Ishimura's in the red. Someone get the door open. Chen? Christ, what did that thing do to you? Help me get him to the Kelly.
Shoot. Not shit. Shoot him!
The Kellyan doesn't even exist anymore, Hammond.
Chen? No.
Hammond!
You're what killed him.
Oh God.
Rest in peace, Hammond. I liked you. I liked you more in Dead Space 1, but this version of Hammond is still cool, I guess. He also has a different death in this game.
They just flatlined.
Hammond's gone. Hammond Chen.
Oh my god.
Alright,
Fuck.
now we just need to escape.
Go.
We're not being timed or anything on this part. You don't have to, like, haul ass your way out of here, but, you know, you might as well. Also, you get attacked by tweakers. And this room? Yes, this room, and I think in the next room. So, I tried to, like, stasis him and just get him away from me, but it didn't... Yeah, it didn't work out, so I just made a break for it. I was like, fuck you guys, I'm not fighting you, I'm not even a part of this ship. I just work here. Took a bit of a beating on my way out, but it's all good. Wow, they're still behind me. Thank God for the contact beam. But yeah, even when you take out a tweaker's legs, they're still pretty damn quick. They can still move after you, like, really fast. Alright, now we'll cut back through the barracks. Make sure that thing's not electrified before you step on it, because that's definitely an instant death. Alright, and back to the Ishimura we go. Hooray. Thank you for the hospitality, USM Valor. I had a great time.
Incoming debris. Sealing blast door.
And that's pretty much it for Chapter 9.
Isaac, come in.
Here. Fuck, that was close.
Chen, Johnston, now Hammond. And I'm tracking movement from the Valor. I think some of those mutated soldiers made it on board. What about the Valor's Singularity Core?
It's covered in blood, but I got it. God. I hope Hammond was right about that shuttle.
He said it was on the crew deck, along with every unitologist on the ship and their marker. You'll need to... Wait, someone's opened the door near the bridge atrium? It'll get you to the crew deck, but who's left with that kind of clearance? Isaac, something's up, but we have to get that shuttle. For God's sake, be careful. We're all that's left.
Alright. Success! Time for Chapter 10, which means... yeah, we've only got 2 chapters left. There's 12 chapters in this game, so... Chapter 10 will be coming shortly. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. I'm pretty sure I just hit up the save station, but yep. That'll be all for this round, folks. I will see you next time for Chapter 10.